So hello dear student, I hope that you have come back now towards our learning, and as we have discussed in the previous chapter about the preposition in the grammar textbook, today we will discuss about the next chapter, that is chapter number 14, verbs of incomplete predication. Now this is not a new chapter for you, don't worry. This is just the same chapter, but in this there are few concepts that we need to understand first. So there will be question in your mind now, exactly what is verbs of incomplete predication. All right, so before we discuss about this, we need to look into few concepts. So just make a note of this. Very first we have transitive verb. So first we'll discuss about this concept, then we'll reach towards the point verbs of incomplete predication. Now dear children, we already discussed, you had a chapter of transitive intransitive verb. So you know it very well what is transitive verb is. A transitive verb is a verb which has an object, which has one object or more than one object as well. Now if you look at the example, the girl gave a book. So in this sentence, if I ask the question with what word, like what did the girl give? So you will give the answer, a book. So when you get the answer by asking a question with what word, that particular verb will be example of transitive verb. Look at second example, the prince took 3 gold coins. Now in this, if I ask a question, what did the prince take? So you will get the answer, 3 gold coins. Now these 3 gold coins will be object for the verb took. Getting it? So transitive verb is very simple, which has object in it. If you look at the example number A in this, I have given just brief explanation about it. Book is object of the verb gave. So here book is an object of the verb gave. So verb is gave here. So gave is what here? Transitive verb, because it has an object. Are you clear with this? So transitive verb is a verb which has an object in it. Make a note of this. Then the next point we have intransitive verb. Dear children, I will suggest you that whatever the points are given in this PPT, you can note down that, so it will be helpful for you to understand and make the concept easy. Now what is intransitive verb? Intransitive verb is a verb which has no objects in it. Example like Ram stood, I smiled, she went. Now in these examples you will not find any supporting word after the verb, and for that purpose it is an example of intransitive verb. Like stood is the verb here. Now after stood, nothing is supported, nothing is given there to support the verb here. Are you getting it? And if I ask a question here, what did stand? So you will not get answer. You will not get answer for this question. And when I ask a question to you that whom did she stand there? Still there will be no question answer for that. And for that purpose, the object what we have here exactly is not present in this intransitive verb, and hence it becomes intransitive verb only. If you look at the second example, Tansen was a great musician. Now was is here again intransitive verb. Remember the helping verbs like am, is, are, was, were, have, has. These all are intransitive verbs because they are not carrying object with them. If I ask you a question like who is a great musician, the answer will be Tansen. So you are giving the answer to the subject, not an object, and for that purpose it is an example of intransitive verb. So I have given again explanation here. You can see that a verb stood has no object. So here stood has no object. So it is an example of intransitive verb. There is no object for this. Alright. And whatever object we have here, it is just supportive. It is just predication. It is not an exact object for the verb. It is supporting to the subject only. Alright. I hope the questions regarding transitive and intransitive verbs are clear to you. Now the next point we'll discuss about the objects. Now dear children, I just told you in the transitive verb, there can be one or more objects. One or more objects. Exactly, we can say one or two objects. Now, if you find two objects, then how to identify and what do you call them? The object which you find with the what word and which is always material things, non-living things, they are called as direct objects. And you get that question's answer by asking the question with what word. An indirect object is always like, living things like human most of time, me, us, him, her. These objects of pronouns are coming there most of time. Are you getting it? Now look at the example here. There are two types of object. One is direct object, another is indirect object. So transitive verb have the objects. Intransitive verb do not have object. Okay, make a note of this. Now example we'll see. The letter brought us good news. So letter brought us good news. Now there are two objects in this. What did letter bring? So you'll get the answer good news. And whom did it bring? To us. Getting two answers. One is good news, another is us. So these two objects are there in this sentence. How will you identify one is direct, another is indirect? So when you ask a question with what did letter bring? You will get the answer good news, and this will be the direct object because this is non-living things, materials as well, and so many things are included in direct object. Remember that, and most of the time you have to ask the question with what word only. Make a note of this, very important. Then the letter brought us good news. Now in this, if you ask a question with whom, like whom did the letter bring good news, you will get the answer us, and for that purpose it is an example of indirect object. Alright, so when you ask a question with what, you will get the answer of direct object. When you ask the question with whom, you will get the answer of indirect object. Remember, this is very important for you. You can note down this in notebook so that you will always remember that. Alright, now let's go for our next point, reflexive pronoun. Now in this chapter there is also a point of reflexive pronoun, that the reflexive pronoun is the subject of a particular object only. Okay, we'll see that. Don't confuse yourself in this just a word here. So reflexive pronoun we have already seen. We had a chapter also in the project test 2 as well. Like reflexive pronoun, know it very well. Himself, herself, himself, themselves. These all are reflexive pronoun, we call them. Now this reflexive pronoun actually is the object here of a particular verb only. Like the subject is an object refer to the same person or a thing here. Example like Harsh hurt himself while playing football. Now this himself is referring to whom? If I ask you who is himself here, you will get the answer Harsh. So Harsh is what here? Subject. And Harsh is the subject here, and this reflexive pronoun himself is referring to subject only. So this is the important point that you need to understand. The object of the verb hurt is himself, which refers to Harsh, the subject. Getting it? So Harsh is subject here and himself is the reflexive pronoun referring to subject only. Alright, I hope whatever the points we have discussed today, all are very important to understand to go for the next step of verb of incomplete predication. So today we have discussed in a very short and brief manner with the proper words, with proper definition of particular words. Like first of all we have discussed with transitive verb, then we have discussed with intransitive verb, then we have discussed with reflexive pronoun, then we have discussed with object, that is direct object and indirect object. I hope the points are clear to you, and dear children, if it is not clear, please watch the video again and make it clear. The next part of it will continue in the next video. Thank you so much.